I love salmon. Salmon have a unique role in our ecosystem and a unique role in our society, and I think that's very valuable. And I want to study Hoy Creek because this is a unique place in our city where we can get lots of salmon. I want to examine the creek in October and November because that's when the salmon starts. The chum salmon coming in October, and same with the coho. The coho salmon you can identify it has this very thick red and purple blend, where the chum salmon only have this kind of weaved, they're like cracked with pink. Uh, these coho salmon have been introduced through the hatchery, while the chum salmon are just naturally there. And they seem very abundant this year, so it'll be a good opportunity to see them. Let's go out there and see them. So right here in the riparian zone, here you can see some salmon berry, which populate much of this area, and some western hemlocks. Let's head down to that raging river. You can see this is a rainy day, so there should be a good day for salmon. And here's some deadwood with some beautiful fungi where we can see life recycling. Right here, see that little tail? That's a salmon. Beautiful. This should be a coho salmon. They're kind of pinky. We're gonna avoid. Wow, it's really rushing today. This is a lot of rainwater. Let's see if we can find. The river is clearly plentiful with salmon. Let's go see them up close. Hoy Creek starts in Westwood Plateau, where it gains lots of water from rainfall. From here, it flows down the river, um, converging from all these tributaries, these little streams, where it accumulates water. And behind Douglas College is where I'm going to study. Right here is where it starts to get steep. Before that, it's kind of like a lazy river. In here, there's the hatchery, and after the hatchery, this river continues along through Coquitlam before meeting up with Scott Creek. And here with Scott Creek, it joins, and from there it flows down to the Coquitlam River, and from the Coquitlam River through the Fraser to the ocean. This is important because salmon do the opposite, up the Coquitlam, up Scott Creek, up Hoyer Creek, until ultimately being in this video where they get shot. This is the map of my project, very professional map. Here we have homes, small development, and small development over here of homes. Here's kind of where Douglas College is, kind of this way. Here's the parking lot, the C building. Here is the daycare. And we can look at our study area over here. It's approximately 100 meters this way. So we started out from the side trail over here, where there's some great big trees everywhere here. And down here is where the main spot where I saw most of the salmon. It's a good place to see it. It's also a good place over here. There's a log right here, which is part of the log debris. We can see good substrate over here. There tends to be good substrate on these bends, like over here too. This is a very natural water course because it's very windy. These steep parts of the river are very windy, whereas here it's a little bit more flat down here. And it forms a much straighter river. The flatter, less steep areas here are windy. Here I saw Himalayan blackberry right here. That was the tight bramble. Here I saw English ivy going along the banks, and I saw some knotweed over here. I'm sure there's lots of Himalayan blackberry over here, I'm sure, and Japanese knotweed. I didn't see tons of it, mostly deep in the forest and along the trail. But the invasive species really like to colonize right along the river, which is harmful for the unique species that adapted to live along these rivers.
Here you can see Himalayan blackberry. The leaves look like it's kind of thorny, and it creates this really dense bramble which no one can walk through, no animals, and it outcompetes our local salmonberry right here. You can see this, light penetrates through to the ground floor, and people can walk through it, or animals. More importantly, animals, bears, wolves. Bears not gonna get through this. If this spreads, then this entire terrain will be impassable. This entire terrain will be covered, and there will be no light coming down to the floor. And these trees, this is the Japanese knotweed. It's kind of this green stuff with these circular leaves. Mature leaves look a little bit different on the ground there. They're kind of more round. You see they're kind of slowly encroaching on the salmonberry, kind of around the outskirts of this area.
These invasive species are very bad for this environment. They do not suit it, and they are damaging the local salmonberry, particularly, are very threatened by the Himalayan blackberry and by the ivy and by the Japanese knotweed. But there are some good things happening in this riparian zone, where it is feeding black bears. Normally, the salmon, once they've given birth, they die in the river. They kind of hang around, and the river just smells like rot. What's good is that these bears are eating these rotting salmon who've given birth, and they are bringing them onto land, which allows them to recycle back into the terrestrial ecosystem and feed the great green plants that grow around the river.
This poor buddy here looks like he's been eaten to the bone. See the bones right there. I hope he laid his eggs right in the substrate, but it's a sign of life. His body went to feeding another animal.
This is another example. This one has been brought in inland from the river by a black bear. Trees are an important part of this ecosystem. Coniferaria were the only real native species. This is like the western hemlock, the Douglas fir, the yellow cedar. These were these are important trees in our ecosystem, but we also have invasive species of broadleaf trees, deciduous maple trees. These trees can be quite ecologically helpful, so they are not a strictly bad thing, but it's interesting as part of a cultural and historical narrative that these are uh, invasive trees. Non-native trees is maybe a better word. In summary, Hoy Creek is a great creek. It has a good water course and good environment, good substrate, good water debris, stuff like that. Good trees, good plants. But it's plagued by a lot of problems. Invasive species are coming in very, very quickly, and the human development around it is problematic. So I think if we well manage the environment, we can help the plentiful amount of salmon that live in the river. If we protect them, if we protect the salmon, if we help them grow in population with the hatchery, I think this can be a lively forest, and it is a lively forest, but it needs to stay that way. This environment could use some more carnivores, some more diverse life. There's lots of small animals and microbes that I don't know if they exist, but they probably need some help in this river. This river is very good. It's a good example of what a traditional rainforest looks like, with its great big trees and its great moss and slugs and other beautiful animals like black bears. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And if you didn't, I hope you liked watching salmon. Thanks for watching. It was a good effort. Logging out.